Do you know how to innovate, add value, and set yourself apart from your competition? That is the topic of discussion on today's episode of Construction Genius with Jack Aspenson. Jack is the CEO and president of S3 Surface Solutions, a disruptive client-driven organization that focuses on providing environmentally friendly, simple surface systems that are long-lasting and cost-effective. Jack is not a construction contractor, but he's very familiar with the construction world, and he really understands innovation and how to set yourself apart from the competition. So I like to bring him on the show today simply because with this outside perspective, and yet with an understanding of the construction industry, you will be able to glean from our conversation many valuable insights that will help you to be innovative, add value, and set yourself apart from the competition. Innovation has to happen if your company is going to be healthy. That innovation can happen in the way that you build products, the locations that you build in, the clients that you build for. Whatever the case is, innovation is essential. So enjoy my conversation with Jack today. Feel free to share it with other people who you think might find it useful. Give me a little bit of feedback as to the impact of the episode on you. You can reach me on LinkedIn or on my website, constructiongenius.com. And if you like this episode with Jack, let me know so I can bring on other guests like Jack to provide value for you. Thanks for listening to Construction Genius today. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Jack, welcome to Construction Genius.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
There are hundreds of thousands of contractors in the United States, millions around the world. How does a contractor, whether a general contractor or a subcontractor, how do they set themselves apart from other people and distinguish themselves from the competition?
You know, the old thought process is I got to have cheaper labor. I got to be faster. I've got to have a better project plan. I got to have on-time delivery. I have a million little widget things that I can do to be that much better. When actually, if they looked at probably a strategy called Blue Ocean, which makes differentiation through innovation and value. You want to separate yourself in a differentiated business model. You want to separate yourself in relationships that create value. You want to be price competitive. You don't have to be the cheapest. You want to be price competitive, but you want to be able to provide them something that no one else can do, or be more environmentally friendly, which is one of the key points that I'd like to talk about.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because some folks may be familiar with this term Blue Ocean strategy. I know it comes from a book. Can you just give us a little more detail on that, Jack, just to get us into the conversation here?
Sure. There's a difference between a blue ocean and a red ocean. A red ocean, you are strictly a price competitive business. That's a bid process. Next, maybe you win, maybe you don't win.
And why red ocean?
Red ocean is because sharks are swimming around taking bites out of everybody.
Okay.
Blood in the water.
Blood in the water. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
It's what I call the price compression business.
Right.
As a service provider, construction company, manufacturer, it doesn't matter if I make a widget that everybody else makes. It's who has the best cost-effective way to make that widget wins.
Yep.
That's a way to drive everybody's business down. It's not a way to make everybody profitable. In a blue ocean, through differentiation of your services, differentiation of your management, creating a higher end user customer value, long-term value, or really shorten their total cost of ownership and ROI at a competitive price makes you a blue ocean competitor, because you're not dealing on a price by price basis. You're dealing on a reputation for being different, being effective.
Okay. So what are some areas that you have found to be most interesting or most effective in terms of this innovation and adding value?
The entire my company, S3 Surface Solutions, has focused on, we don't even bring a product to market unless it has more than one application. If it has to solve a problem, not be a band-aid. And it has to be environmentally friendly, easy to manufacture, and not regionally, and not introduce new tools to the industry. I mean, part of your challenge with acceptance of any widget or application that you make is if you change the way they do it, it's very difficult to get people to accept it. Okay. So you have to not affect the tools. So we create a differentiation, and our product does more than one thing most of the time. Number two, it's environmentally friendly. Number three is I can regionally manufacture it anywhere and I can distribute it. So now I've actually now I've added to that environmentally friendly because now I'm within that leads window. And then the second side of it is my price competitiveness. So my square foot price is competitive, but I may do something else that my competitors can't do.
Okay. So that's really neat there. Let me go back to this one thing that you said just a minute ago. Solve a problem, not be a band-aid. How do I distinguish between a band-aid and a problem solved?
It's funny. If you read my motto, when I started my company, it says, I want to differentiate myself from everybody else who thinks they're just good enough. So that's what I call a Band-Aid. So a lot of products out there today, yes, it'll fix a moisture mitigation problem, but does it create something else? Does it have a long-term lifespan? Does it have the ability to handle shifting buildings? One of our products, for instance, was created originally as an asphalt paint. Well, now I have an epoxy that'll bond to a petroleum-based product. We elevated it up and found out we can go over asbestos isolation chemicals. One product doesn't need 5 like a lot of these systems out there, or 2 or 3. We have one product that fixes that problem. That fixes that problem permanently. It's not something that is going to peel off later because it's already designed to stick to petroleum-based products.
Why do you think it's important to be environmentally friendly?
We have one world. Okay. I want my children to grow up, since you and I are older, I call it wiser. We grew up in the era of high pollution.
Right.
We've cleaned it up a lot, but there's so much technology out there today that we can do things smarter, more economically friendly, more environmentally friendly, create jobs locally. We can also create jobs globally, but we can do this a lot smarter than we do today. I ran into a system the other day that has a new way of making soil cement, and it's not even on the market yet, and I'm afraid to talk about it, but it has zero effect on the environment, so there's no leaching issues into the groundwater, and yet they don't think they're going to get traction with it. Why? Because companies are going, well, that's not how I've done it before.
Right. So that's an interesting issue then. If I'm going to be innovative in construction industry and I present that innovation, let's say to a client, usually that innovation is going to cost the client something. And if I'm the owner, let's say, and I want to get a building built, most of the time, there's one thing I'm concerned about is the money and making sure that it falls within the range of acceptability. Yeah. So how do you, in your experience, present these innovations when there's price pressures and other motivations involved with the people who have to buy the innovation?
One, you have to prove that the product works. If it doesn't work, then don't even try.
Right.
So you have to test it to the extent. I mean, one product we've spent 3 years testing just to make sure that we've answered every question that somebody's going to throw at us. Right. Any ASTM spec. That's number one. Number two is you have to provide, if you're a little more expensive on the front end, you better be a lot less expensive on the back end.
Right.
So if I'm a long-term building owner, I'm building my own plant, which I just did. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that plant's good for 20 years because guess what my mortgage is?
Right.
20 years. I don't want to be investing a lot of money back into that. Build it right the first time. Then I reduce my maintenance costs over time. And now that product's cheap.
Yep. Okay.
As a business owner, what I would tell other people that supply the construction industry, put together that return on investment, that total cost of ownership. Have a good case study. Say, here's what it is. You hand that to an owner. He's going to look at it and go, I like that because it's my money.
Excellent. Yep. So if you're going to be innovative, you have to also be able to clearly articulate and communicate that innovation if it's going to be sold.
Absolutely. You also have to communicate if there's somebody that builds multiple buildings. Do I have this available all the time?
Yeah.
You have to have the supply chain.
So that's an interesting thought there. I know many of the folks that are listening, actually everyone who's listening to this has been impacted by the supply chain issues that we felt in the United States in the past couple of years. I know you've done a lot of thought around the supply chain and how we can work within those constraints. Can you just give us a high picture overview of some of the things that influence supply chain?
Well, number one, the stableness of a supply chain right now is very difficult to find, but you've got geopolitical pressures going on right now. If you import some of your raw materials or your ingredients from somewhere else. You have shipping issues, transportation issues. Or right now, transportation is the worst because of also our fuel prices right now. The third side of it is we lost a lot of manufacturing in the U.S.
Yes.
It's spread out all over the world now. As if I have a supplier in the international world that's also being affected by like the Ukraine war right now,
yep.
Where do I find other supply? A lot of companies stick with one main supplier because they get a really cheap price.
Yep.
And that goes back to the stableness. You need to look for other suppliers. There's a lot of companies that make certain things, and you just need to know where to find them. The other side of it is start looking for sustainable solutions, something that's repetitive, recurring, something that I can recycle.
Yep.
That is going to be critical for our future because as our population increases and as global business increases, construction's not slowing down.
No.
Right now, warehousing's blowing out ceiling of growth right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. Do you see, I don't know if you're able to answer this, but do you see any pivot coming up in the next few years to redomesticating the supply chain in the sense of bringing manufacturing back to the United States?
We're the largest consumer in the world. My answer is going to be short answer is yes, but you're going to see international companies investing on coming here, especially because of the transportation issue right now. You know, at the beginning of this, people were hoarding containers.
Yep.
You know, container price went from $3,000 to $30,000 to do for the same thing. You had shipping delays at every port, every major port in the United States. And that was there's a combination of issues there I won't go into because it gets into politics, but there's a combination of issues going on there. And then you have a shortage. I think the last number I saw was like 78,000 truckers short in the United States. Yeah, you know, and by the way, that's a high paying middle class job now.
Yes, it is.
These guys are making 80 to 100 grand a year.
Yep.
Doing long distance hauling. So we had great train lines when our population in the United States was 50 million. Now
right.
we're closing in on 400 million and our train lines can't keep up.
Yep.
Transportation is the biggest issue right now, where I think they're going to bring things more locally. You're also going to see a lot of companies try to stockpile raw key ingredients.
Yes.
So, it has an immediate crunch on the system, but eventually that will release. My biggest challenge, and this is why I say go sustainable a little more, find other options, is the impact of reduced petroleum production. Petroleum's used, it's like corn and petroleum. They're used in almost everything we eat or consume.
Yeah.
We can grow a lot of corn. Matter of fact, we grow too much most of the time.
Yeah.
My uncles are farmers, but they're not wanting to invest in it right now because of policy.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So I know when I talk to my clients and the issue of supply chain comes up, it's definitely an issue that impacts everyone tremendously. And yet oftentimes it is felt to be out there somewhere, right? And so it's kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? I mean, I have supply chain issues. What can I do about it? So for us, the distinctions with regards to supply chain between that which I have control over and that which I don't have control over.
Well, number one, in the current environment we're in right now, pricing is not in your control.
Right.
You have to figure out how I can find a different alternative that might be less expensive, or you're going to have to pass on that price through your customer base. And in cases there where if you have strong relationships with your customers, you might be able to absorb it together. And that gives you some competitive advantage. And again, it goes back to that differentiation in blue ocean. Your customer service can be a competitive advantage that can separate you in a price competitive market.
Yep.
But you also need to understand that relationship. You need to understand what actually goes into making that widget or what, let's say red steel right now is really expensive.
Yeah.
What goes into making that? Where is it made? Can I source it locally? Find redundancy. But you got to, obviously, quality is a big concern with everybody. You have to meet certain standards, but you need to be, and most people do a decent job of finding multiple suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
Again, those distributors might be buying from the same guy.
Yes.
So do I find a different distributor? In our case, in my business, we do a lot of packaging in 5-gallon buckets. Well, 5-gallon buckets and 4.25-gallon buckets, which is a little bit off. A lot of people don't use those.
Right.
The PVC and the PVC, or the petroleum that's used in the PVC and some of the monomers that are used in the adhesives that bond things. The Texas snowstorm, the Texas ice freeze last year crushed that business for 3 to 4 months.
Right.
And then on top of that, now petroleum production's gone down. So you see almost a double effect on that.
Yes.
So what we've started to do is look at alternatives, maybe using cardboard in some ways.
Yes.
Maybe using plastic bags in other ways. Maybe using a container that's less PVC, or is a different form of plastic.
I'm still here.
Those are the things that you need to look at. For instance, in my warehouse, we had electrical pull boxes. The electrical pull boxes were 6 weeks out. Why were they 6 weeks out? Did they not know this was coming? My construction company. So I actually, as soon as they told me it was 6 weeks out, I called one of my suppliers and I got my pull boxes.
Interesting.
It's because I had a relationship with him.
Okay.
So having deeper relationships along your supply chain in raw materials and different distributors, finding alternative products, that's critical for managing your supply chain going forward.
Okay. So understanding your supply chain in terms of where things come from and
how they're made.
Yep. Working through the alternatives that may be available and then deepening your relationships with folks. These are ways that you can take control over some of those issues that may feel out of your control.
Absolutely.
So why, let's say I know that, why do companies still struggle with the supply chain in terms of what they can control?
It's practice.
Yeah.
Do they consistently do it? Even in good times when you get lazy and everything's coming to you and the prices are low.
Yeah, right.
Transportation's great. I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
My procurement people, I want them taking them out to dinner. I want them finding out what's new technologies coming. I want to know ahead of the curve where I'm at.
Okay.
Because right now we're making a pivot away from plastic buckets. And we're 2 years ahead of our competitors because I found a startup and I've joined a joint venture with them to make it for me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So then this then falls on the shoulders of the leadership, the ownership of the company. How can I, as a construction company owner, set up a practice of innovation specifically as it relates to my supply chain issues? Just walk us through step by step what I can do there.
Okay. Now the construction world is huge. I mean, you have 50,000 components that can go into a building.
Yes.
You have a fairly large procurement group with the larger construction companies specialize.
Yep.
There's an old saying, you stop learning, you die.
Yeah.
I want my procurement people, a good thing, mine are all young, not like me, gray hair, and they want to learn. So they're just voracious learners. And they've brought to me 5 or 6 new technologies in the last 6 months that can make a significant difference in our business.
Yep.
You got a special, but I have one that's dedicated towards my packaging. I have one that's dedicated towards chemical raw materials for epoxies and urethanes. I have another one that's focused on supply chain. Transportation. He was a truck driver. He's amazing at finding me alternatives. We've never been without a transportation issue since he's been on board.
Interesting. So then just getting some ideas here is I need to break down my business into various silos of supply and then assign special. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. You use, that's great. And then assign someone there who has an interest or an interest to be able to dive into that particular area so that they are presenting to me those innovations and those changes that could have an impact on my ability to source the things I need to source.
Absolutely. Now you've added some stability.
Yep.
And you've created a differentiation.
That's
so now you're back to blue ocean strategy.
Yep. That then requires a conscious effort. How often as an executive team should I be getting together to address the supply chain issue specifically, do you think?
In this environment?
Yeah.
Monthly, at the least.
At the least, okay.
At the least. I mean, your supply chain's changing every week right now. Your pricing's changing, your availability's changing, your transportation rates are changing, fuel prices are going up and down. Well, right now they're as high as you're going to get. I think I saw $5.50 for diesel fuel the other day.
Come to California. Come to California. It's higher.
Yeah, I know. My son's stationed out there. He's in the Space Force in Vandenberg. But in my 20s, I owned a trucking company.
Yeah.
Diesel fuel was 78 cents.
Back in the day. Talk about the quality of your relationships as they relate to what you control in the supply chain. You touched on that earlier. What have you done over the years to develop relationships that have impacted you positively in terms of your ability to manage supply chain issues?
I'll give you a good example. I have a very good friend of mine who owns a business. He's a formulator for me now. 16 years I've known him. We can cuss at each other, hang up on each other, and we still like each other. I went to him to build an adhesive for us. He specializes in construction adhesives. And I said, here's a spec I want. And I said, but I need you to do something against the market. Basically, all pressure sensitive adhesives are acrylic emulsion based. That's the major ingredient in it. I don't want to buy a off the shelf acrylic emulsion like everybody else does. And then they add their special sauce to it and make it do whatever they need to do. I said, I want to create our own so that we're not dependent on that manufacturer who makes that generic acrylic emulsion. We need to make it in-house. We need to utilize less of and I can't go into specifics of the major ingredients, and more of the maybe what we call minors, less important ingredients as a percentage of volume, but very important in the percentage of performance. And that's how we actually made the strongest adhesive in the flooring industry, is we started at the ground and worked our way back up. So if I'm at a construction company and I'm using concrete fill for my trench cuts, I'm going to find out what is the best formula, what is the best solution out there, and build a relationship with that so that I can leverage that as a differentiator, cost reducer, and availability.
You mentioned that you went into a joint venture with a supplier or a provider in order to be able to mitigate some of your issues. What process did you go through to decide that you wanted a joint venture in this particular situation?
They needed capital to build this out, and they needed a customer to test it out. And so I don't have to spend a lot of capital if I supply the test. If you understand what I'm talking about there. And so we decided after a while that he didn't want me to commit to just a number of items, widgets. He wanted me to commit to helping him design it and build it.
I see.
And so this is an opportunity. Again, this system that I'm working on right now is a packaging system, will break the industry. And then the other side of it, what I got out of it, and this is what I saw, that's why I went into the joint venture, was that it gives me a great space. It gives me about 3 times the space on that individual container to advertise.
Right. Interesting. And so it's interesting because you think it's so easy to fall into sort of the Home Depot mentality when it comes to supply chain. All it is Home Depot, and I'm not going to influence Home Depot in any way. I'm just going to go there, and if they got it, I'm going to buy it from them.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you've got to take a more innovative approach to the supply chain if you're going to be able to ride the waves, so to speak, of supply and demand and the various issues that you don't have control over.
Yep, dead on.
That's interesting. Okay, so
for instance, we have a company that we're in the discussions of a joint venture right now, where in their industry, no one's being able to work because they can't get anything, or projects are being significantly delayed. And I'm sitting here with a solution that cuts 3 steps out of their process.
Right.
It's a little more expensive, but they're going, I can get my job done.
Yep.
Now, during the whole pandemic and bucket issue, I was only without buckets for 10 days in 2 years, where my competitors were without buckets for months.
And what impact did that have on your business?
The 10 days? Not much.
No, what I mean is the fact that your competitors didn't have it and you did.
Oh, we had record month over month sales because we were the only ones being able to supply and keep our customers moving.
Yep. Okay, so then let's say I know I want to stop complaining and I want to start acting. Okay. What are some immediate steps that I should be taking as an entrepreneurial construction company business owner to assert as much control as possible over my supply chain?
Find out your critical components right now that are causing you problems.
Okay.
Number 1, identify your top 5.
Yep.
Concrete's probably not going to be one of them. Water, Portland, and rock are pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Right now. But red steel is a problem.
Yep.
Rebar might be a problem. Copper piping is a problem.
Yep.
Electrical boxes, copper wire. Those are all problems.
Yep.
How do I get closer to a manufacturer? How do I find other companies that can ship it to me?
Yep.
How can I build stronger relationships in a regional basis so that I have a volume buying capability? So I move up that priority list.
Yep.
Those are just minor things to start working on. But right now, you got to identify your top 5 pain in the rear end products.
Yes.
And expand that once you've figured that out. Then move to the next 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a business that's not that. We've done a very good job of design where we use a lot of the same stuff in our packaging. A lot of the same chemicals are used. So we have redundancy.
Yes.
And then we have redundant suppliers and redundant manufacturers that we work with. So that's easy. In the construction world, redundancy doesn't always play into it. They may be able to buy a box over here, and that's their main supplier is distributor X. And okay, well, we'll use distributor Y if we need to. You might want to build that relationship a little better with distributor Y if he's not doing the volume distributor X.
Yes. Okay. So identify those top 5 critical components, get yourself closer to the manufacturer, find other companies that may be able to help you, build stronger relationships, then move on to the next 5. What else do I need to do?
Understand the impacts of the global world on your products.
Yeah.
You need to have if you don't have an economist or somebody that knows what they're doing that can help you predict what are my 3 different scenarios.
Yes.
you're going to be riding the wave of whatever happens.
Yes.
The second thing is, if you're a domestic-based company, try to find something that domestically manufactured, even if it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
Because you're going to save on shipping. You're going to shave on headaches of shipping problems. You probably are going to get your jobs done faster. If you're a globally based company or you want to be a global company and you want to use the globalistic view of trade, then you're going to have to find multiple suppliers. So for instance, one of my raw ingredients for one product comes from Germany.
Yeah.
Guess what? No one else makes it.
Right.
So I have no redundancy. But I actually went to that supplier and said, can we work on somebody in the United States licensing this formula from you to make it for us?
Yes.
So I took a globalistic approach and brought it back domestically.
That's very interesting. Just again, I think what's useful for my audience to hear is this idea of being proactive, being entrepreneurial, being solutions oriented instead of just throwing your hands up in the air and saying there's nothing we can do about this.
Right. Quit complaining about price.
Yeah.
It's a market thing. You can't affect the market.
Yeah. Now, when you say, though, having an economist on staff, I know that many of my listeners won't have an economist on staff. And so I think that's where probably being involved in good trade associations who do have access to economists becomes really important.
Yep.
Yeah. That's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, and you got to also understand domestic policy. Every state, every president that comes in, different president, the policies that they force or start or executive orders, most good C-level executives know, oh, crap, Keystone Pipeline just shut down, so there goes my petroleum base. Prices are going to go up. We all know that.
Right.
Then do you know the downline projection on that?
Yes.
Some of your other products.
Yep. Yep.
Not all of us have visibility. The good thing is I'm in a very fast-growing company that I created. I have 4 great partners that all contribute well to it, but my job is to focus on how is everything affecting us and what's the strategy for the next month, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Just something just popped into my mind, and I'm just looking for an opinion here. What is the value of a company CEO or president getting involved in political lobbying at either a local or a state level in terms of wanting to influence policies which would impact supply chain and other issues like that?
I'm not a fan of anybody politically getting involved to force something unless it's if let's say I'm the CEO of a big construction company, I'm the largest in the Southeast.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put forth the effort, and this is me personally,
yeah,
it's going to be put forth to advance the whole industry.
And why do you say that?
There are going to be jobs I don't win.
Yeah.
There's going to be relationships that are better than mine. But
right.
if we're going to affect something, let's affect it across the board.
Right.
It shouldn't be for the benefit of, I'm a competitor. I'm a sales guy all my life. I hate losing.
Yep.
But if it gives me that perception that I'm helping an industry and it actually does, then that's just better for my reputation in general. I think if I show that I'm greedy and push it towards one direction that benefits me, then there are going to be a lot of people that don't look favorably on that.
Okay. I know many.
I try to stay out of politics, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I know many of my listeners, when it comes to making strategic shifts, it can often be challenging for a construction company because there's so much risk involved with taking on a particular project. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to this idea of blue ocean strategy, if I'm in a high risk industry, such as construction, do you have any recommendations as to what would be the first step I might take from sailing out of the red ocean into the blue ocean?
Well, people make the biggest difference. People and process. I met a superintendent of a pretty large construction company. He wasn't educated at the biggest construction company in the world, the Texas A&M or any of these big engineering companies, Auburn, Georgia, in my world, University of Georgia. At Georgia Tech. He wasn't educated there. He grew up in the business and he saw what works, what doesn't work.
Right.
And he was young. He was only 34. And he just impressed me because he was willing to look outside the box. Mm-hmm. He was willing, having that process in people, and he was willing to change the process if it sped up his construction. He wanted to do things right. That always helps. That's the least risk that you have right there, is having people in process. Changing your process is a big thing. So how do I build the building? How I present the proposal, how I tell the customer, this is the best way to build your building long-term. This is cost cutting, and here's not cost cutting. And here's what I believe the end result will be 20 years from now. Those are 2 things that I think really need to happen. And then the third, that's a little bit more risky, and it will take more time, is working with the architectural firms, working with the engineers to bring in new products
Yes.
that could be more available, are more available, and bringing in new products that can also cut out certain challenges that the building might have during construction. Like our product for tilt wall construction, that just gets rid of half of the covering that they need for the floor, which saves them $2 to $3 a square foot. My product's 13 cents a square foot.
That's interesting. So you've mentioned those three areas of innovation being the people, the processes, and the products. Those are three areas that I can focus on. And so as a construction company leader, I would want to look at perhaps areas of least risk to begin with, but that might have the most positive impact.
Yep.
You've mentioned a number of different people that have had an impact in your business, particularly in light of the innovation aspect. How do you identify people that you want to hire who you know will be innovative and will give you some of that juice that perhaps you yourself know you don't have, but you need?
Well, I've been blessed with some really, really smart people. My chief technology officer is probably one of the top material scientists in the world. And he can go across chemistry and material science, which I went to college for material science, but I'm a kindergartner compared to him. So I was blessed because I was part of a company and I ended up taking over the company. So I was just blessed with that one. But my young people, and that's where I really focus my effort, is on the younger people that I bring into the company. They have to be voracious learners. They have to be.
How do you know if someone's a voracious learner?
Oh, there's a series of questions you can ask. I can write those down someday. No.
Give us a couple. Give us a couple.
I want to give my trade secrets away.
Yeah, but this is construction. They won't steal them from you. This
Number
is
one, do you read?
Yeah. Pardon?
Do you read?
Yes. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Okay. Do you read to amuse or do you read to learn?
Uh-huh.
What channels on TV do you watch? These are not HR breaking questions here.
No, that's great.
If you watch Discovery Channel and Natural Geographic and This Old House,
yep.
And then one other question I ask them, if they have a house or their parent, they still live at home, in case, have you ever done a construction? Have you ever built something?
Yeah.
You know, I probably have the only daughter in the world that knows how to change her own brakes.
That's pretty cool.
She's a problem solver, and that's what I've raised is. But I look at young people today, and I think they've been too overlooked as you just need to go to college.
Yeah.
No, my operations manager told me the other day, he wrote down in his personal development plan, I want to get my bachelor's in this, because he doesn't have a degree. Right. He says, I want to learn Spanish. And I said, why do you want to learn Spanish? We don't have anybody who speaks Spanish in the company. Because I want to learn it.
That's cool.
Yeah. I just went, okay.
That's interesting. So you personally don't have a bias towards degree or non-degree. Is that what I'm hearing? Or does it depend on the position?
I look at the ethic. I can tell their work ethic in about 10 minutes of sitting down.
Okay.
No, and I have 180 hours of college, 5 minors and no degree. And I've had 4 companies.
Yeah, no, totally. I get that.
Bill Gates did pretty good too.
Yeah. How do you, as an older person who's had success and experience, stop yourself from looking down on younger people who may have a bunch of great ideas, but their packaging of those ideas or their lack of savvy or wisdom might cause you to say, I don't want to listen to that person?
Well, after raising 3 kids and they're all in one's 30 now, but 2 of them are in their 20s, I learned really pretty quickly that I had to have patience in the way they talk to me. Don't talk like I did to my father, the colonel and pastor.
Yeah, right.
Right? There's a difference in how we communicate now.
Yeah.
So I actually, instead of letting them explain it to me, they'll give me I always say, give me the cliff notes. Give me a short description of what you're talking about.
Right.
And I just need you to write this up in an email.
Interesting. Why do you ask them to write it up?
Because they have to think about it.
So that costs them something. It's not just, I got this idea off the top of my head and you need to listen to me, but it costs them something to think it through.
Yeah. It's like if one of my people came to me and says, hey, I found a new bucket. And what does it do for me?
How much rope do you give people in their innovative efforts?
A lot. What I call fences. Actually, one of my former CEOs that I worked with said, give people fences. They can make decisions all through here. It also gives them accountability. But if they go over the fence, kind of push them back. You got to keep them in those fences. And I give them a lot of room in those fences to make decisions. You have to. No one is going to grow without making mistakes.
Right.
And so if you give them fences where it's not too expensive on the mistake.
Yep. So how often then would you, again, we're speaking in generalities here, but so you've given someone fences and you've asked them to innovate. How often do you check in with them? What's your accountability rhythm there?
About every 2 weeks.
Why 2 weeks?
Because things change too fast in this market right now. That'll change as my confidence level in them builds. That'll change.
Okay.
But right now, It's not confidence in them. It's confidence in the market right now.
Interesting. Watching the ups and the downs.
Yeah, there's too much instability in the market, but it's still possible to create a stable supply chain.
What are you learning at the moment as you go through this instability in terms of your business or in terms of entrepreneurship? What are some of the main insights that have helped you or that you're kind of grasping as we're going through this, really challenging time the last couple of years?
Well, I have the benefit of being a smaller company. We have 16 employees. I have great partners. I don't manufacture. I partner to manufacture. So I don't have to have that overhead. And what I'm learning is that you have to have adaptability almost on a week by week process basis for how you're selling, how you're delivering, and how you're manufacturing. And having that type of partnership, I had a partner that wasn't that flexible, and we had to find a replacement for him. And I don't like having to be rushed to find it. So I start looking ahead.
Interesting.
You got to be adaptable. You got to be adapting not every week, but it's pretty close to that right now in some cases.
There's no room for autopilot at the moment.
No.
None at all.
No.
Okay.
If you're in autopilot right now, you're going to fall behind.
Okay. So if I wanted to adapt this sort of a blue ocean approach, and again, we'll put a link in the show notes to the book itself, which is well worth reading.
Read it like you study it. Don't just read it.
Yeah. How would you study it? How would you recommend someone study it?
You need to highlight the areas that are of interest that you can go back to. I actually use little sticky notes when I say that's it, and I have them color coded by idea level. And then there is some examples in there that you can actually do with your own business.
Okay, some exercises. Mm-hmm. That's great. And so would you start people, processes, or product? Where would you start?
Which business are we talking about?
Construction.
We're talking about project management-based construction?
Yes, go on.
People.
Okay.
Process. Product's not as critical because you're probably not buying the product.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But can you be a benefit to them by knowing the product?
Yeah.
That would be third down the line.
Excellent.
If I was a general contractor that went soup to nuts and I had subs working on me, that one's going to be product and relationship. The relationship with that sub.
It's interesting how the quality of your relationships can be that differentiation.
Oh, it's huge. The flooring business is where we started, and we've expanded into the construction industry quite a bit recently with our cementitious products. What blows me away is the lack of trust in some of these industries.
Yes.
And that trust really gets highlighted in markets like now.
Yes. So then how do I build trust?
Well, you have to earn it, number one. There's another book that I like, I really enjoy, called Smart Trust. But you have to have number one, create the perception of trustworthiness.
Yes.
I get accused every once in a while about being too direct.
Right.
But in order to gain trust, you have to be direct and not be ethereal in your discussion or vague. People don't like vague. People react differently to vague. Be direct. Tell them what you expect, set the expectations, and tell them a time frame and what you want delivered. And if they deliver it, you trust them. That's the foundation for the trust. If you don't set it, that's another thing that I find interesting in this world. If you don't set expectations, what are you expecting to get done?
That's interesting. So as we're wrapping up here, Jack, I really appreciate your insights. We've had a wide-ranging conversation. Just summarize for us, please, in terms of the supply chain issues. Give us 2 or 3 top things that as a construction company owner, I need to stay laser focused on.
Depending on the product right now, globalization is a big deal. You're bringing anything over on a boat, and it has to be shipped from a port. Transportation is your second view. And the third view is redundancy.
Yes.
Can I find it somewhere else, and can I replace it with something else?
Yes. Globalization, transportation.
Start looking for innovation. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Start looking for innovative products that you can replace current systems with.
Yep. So globalization, transportation, redundancy, and then looking for innovative products that can be replace some of the stuff that you have right now.
Yep. All of those can create, globalization, not as much, but the rest of it can create a differentiator in your business model and a competitive standpoint.
That's excellent. Jack, I really appreciate your insights here. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, your company, and where people can get hold of you.
You can go to s3surfacesolutions.com. We are actually in the process of adding all of our products into our website right now because we've created 4 new cementitious products. S3 Surface is an innovative chemical and cementitious manufacturing company, strictly around construction and the flooring industry, specializing in moisture mitigation, asbestos isolation, and a new product coming out that's a chemically bonding cementitious product, which is going to pretty much revolutionize the industry. You can reach me at jack at s3surfaces.com. That's with an S. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Easy to reach. And I've got a few magazine articles coming out on this same process of supply chain challenges that will be coming out soon.
And what are the companies that you would consider to be your ideal clients?
That's a great question. They have to, number one, well, let's go back to the old, they have to have a budget. So they have to do everything. I also need somebody that I can be top to top and have a good relationship with that is a partner in driving innovation. We get half of our ideas in our company from our clients. I will always ask our customers and our partners, what do you need next? That's my ideal client, is somebody who can partner with, somebody who has a budget, obviously, and somebody who's willing to innovate.
Excellent.
Follow the blue ocean strategy, because together we're going to be more competitive than we are individually.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Last question, Jack. You're out of the South?
Currently.
Where are you located?
I'm in Jasper, Georgia. Our offices are Dalton, Georgia.
Okay. So if I'm in your neck of the woods, what's the one restaurant I need to visit?
Oh, my God. In Dalton's, the Oak Room. It's a good old country diner.
There you go. The Oak Room in Dalton, Georgia.
Yeah. If you're in Jasper, Georgia, there's not a lot here. I live in the mountains. I'm in a community that's nothing but homes and trees.
Beautiful.
Occasional bears.
Occasional bears. What kind of bears you got up?
Small black bears. My dogs are bigger.
That's awesome. Awesome.
We had 24 deer and 10 turkey in the front yard yesterday. So
there you go. Awesome. I got the Oak Room in Dalton, Georgia, just in case you're swinging by there. That's awesome.
It's Southern cooking.
That's great. Well, Jack, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today on Construction Genius.
Yeah, my pleasure. Take care.
Awesome. You too. I appreciate you listening to today's interview with Jack. Hope you walk away with some insights that you can use immediately. I am putting a link in the show notes to the book Blue Ocean Strategy. It's an excellent book that I encourage you to read. And if you are considering ways of innovating, I have a tool that I think you'll find extremely useful. It's called the Construction Niche Analysis. And what it's designed to do is to help you to understand the various niches that you are in so that you can analyze them and think about which niches are most inviting when it comes to this idea of innovation. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that download. It's free. You can check it out, see if it's something that's beneficial to you. If you have any questions about it, of course, reach out to me on my website, constructiongenius.com, and then /contact. I'm happy to interact with you via email. And thanks again for listening to Construction Genius today.